the Abscondo podcast. Hello and welcome to the Abscondo podcast. I know it's been a little while since I last put out a podcast. I don't want to say how long, but it's been too long. And I want to, now starting the new year, 2020, I want to do a lot more podcasts more frequently. So check back, every week or two, let's say. That's my intention anyway. So being as it is the new year and also a new decade, I feel this energy that something is different. It's going to be different in the 20s. And of course, also, what do we do this time of year? We look at our lives a little bit and we try to figure out, where we can, we have resolutions and try to set some goals and try to make some changes. And I was thinking the other night, there are basically, where are challenges in life? What are the kinds of challenges that everyone has in life? And it occurred to me pretty instantly that there's 4 different categories of problems or challenges that we have. And I thought I would just go through some of those and talk about the nature of these challenges. And my thesis here is that unconditional love and honesty will help anyone overcome any challenge in any of these 4 areas, right? But let's think about that. Let's talk about that and kind of go through this and see if that's true. I mean, there can't be any exceptions to this thought system of unconditional love. That's kind of the whole point. The lesson is that there are no exceptions. It's unconditional. So let's look at this. And so the first category or area of life where challenges arise for us are relationships, right? I mean, obviously spouses, lovers, friends, children, employees, bosses, customers, people, relationships with people. That's a really frequent area where we face challenges. And if you're looking at, how do I improve my relationships in 2020, you probably can think of at least one person in your life that you wish you had a better relationship with. And the trick about relationships, of course, is that it's not all up to you. You do your part and you can be at peace, with yourself and know that you're doing your part, but it doesn't always lead to the result you would hope for. And that's kind of the point. I mean, we're all free. We all have free will to do what we want. But nonetheless, what I've found, in these past 4 or 5 years since I've committed to unconditional love is that as long as I am offering unconditional love to everyone in my life all the time, there really are no conflicts or problems. It doesn't mean that it's always ideal, that I wouldn't, prefer to have some different situations with people and so forth. But basically, there's no nastiness, there's no attack, there's no arguing, there's none of these fights or these going mad, or getting mad, whatever they call it. Pain body episodic, Artelli calls it. I just don't have that, and the reason is that I just simply offer unconditional love and forgiveness the best I can, at least the intention of doing that. And if I miss the mark, I apologize and I correct. So, and that's true for obviously with your partner, with your spouse, with your children, especially. And people don't always do this with their children. A lot of times they feel as a parent you have to attack and you have to reward and punish and all these things. And I don't do that. So my relationship with my 10-year-old daughter or 9-year-old daughter is just getting better and better, and she's a wonderful person who I think is just doing great, right? I guess it doesn't really go for my 1-year-old son. He's not really to the point of even having a conversation with me yet, but nonetheless, unconditional love there. Also at work, why not see past your colleagues and your boss's mistakes and those annoying things and just understand that they're just people trying their best, right? I don't think I really have to go. I don't really want to focus only on this area. It's just the first of the 4 areas, relationships, obviously. And I believe that, that anybody can cure a relationship by apologizing for what you've done, by correcting course in a way that is loving. And if someone doesn't accept your apology, that's okay. It's still resolved. You can still be at peace. It's no longer a problem for you. Sometimes the solution is just that you don't have a relationship with someone, but it's not for you to decide. You remain open to people and you just be you and be honest and be loving and see what they do with that. And there's no problem either way. Now, one of the one of the four that you're going to find, I think, most surprising, and because the way I talk about it, it's probably not a very conventional way to talk about this. I mean, we talk about, money and finance and things like that, but I'm not going to call that the area of life. I'm going to call it systems. And what I mean by that is that, an area of our lives where we often have a lot of problems and challenges, or goals, or whatever it may be, an area where we have to focus is on our relationship with systems. So when I say systems, I mean, how do you generate how do you generate income through a system, like for a business that you have, or how do you fit into a system, a school system, a legal system, a corporation? You're interacting with a system. And what is your role in that, and what is your relationship with that system? We're all parts of many different systems. In my life, I have many systems where, I have a sales agency where we have a system to generate opportunities for our clients. And so I just find a new client and I plug them into our system and do our thing and generate value in the form of introductions and leads, and it generates revenue for me and income for me. Ideally, you create systems like that where you don't have to spend too much of your time and effort or work to maintain it. So the best kind of system is one that frees you. Tim Ferriss wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek a number of years ago, and it was a big influence on me, and I would recommend you read that if you haven't done so. How do you think about putting in a Muse business, he called it, but I'll just call it a system. Yeah, it's a business of some kind that you design, that you put a certain input into it, some small investment, and it generates more than what you put into it, and it doesn't take all your time, ideally 4 hours a week. Now, I work about maybe 5 or 10 hours a week on that business, and we can handle up to 10 customers at a time, 10 clients at a time, running campaigns, because I have people in place to handle every aspect of that system, that process. So, if you're lacking financial abundance, that could be a problem, but that falls into that category of systems. Now, if you're a lawyer, well, now you're interacting with the legal system. If you're a teacher, you're in the school system. How happy are you? You have the right, you have the choice of what systems you engage in, take part in. And if something just isn't right for you, like maybe you're working for a government agency, or you're, the police force, and the whole premise of what that system is doesn't really fit with you, your soul's crying out for something else, you have to leave that system. Because if you're within a system, it is what it is. You're not really going to change it. Now, of course, there are some systems we can't opt out of, like the government. Like, we're all citizens in whatever country we live in. But, and I wish you could opt out. I wrote a book about that a number of years ago, about an idea that we should be allowed to opt out, not pay taxes, not have the benefit of using the roads and so forth. That's not how it is right now. We're all forced into some systems. We have to cope with that and just accept that. But then there are a bunch of others, the companies you work for, the kinds of clubs you take part in, a church, religion. All these things are systems. And what is your relationship with those systems? And are there problems in your life that arise from having unhealthy relationships with systems? Ideally, you create your own systems that generate revenue for you, and do so on your terms. So, I work with people and to help them do exactly that, as well as to fix the relationship. And actually in all four of these areas, I'm available to help anyone. And that's what I'm pretty good at doing, these systems. I can think about the process. They say a business isn't an idea about about the product. I mean, that's one part of it. But what makes a business is if you can design a profitable system that works, that serves customers properly to deliver a certain end result that people find valuable and will pay for. And if you can do that in a way that's elegant and takes less money going into it than you get coming out of it, now you have something. You can scale that system up. You have to design it in a way that you can scale it. And when you do that, you have financial abundance and you have freedom. This is a really interesting area. I mean, if you want to get out of the corporate grind, the 9 to 5 and all this stuff, that's the way. Now, whether, now if you're an artist or you want to create something, you're still taking part in a system. I've made the mistake in the past that I create just out of pure inspiration. And then I find that I record an album or I write a book, and I don't really know what the audience is because it's not really appealing to any existing system of distribution, or, you have to know kind of where you're fitting into a system before it's going to work to generate, to earn a living from that. So think about that. Think about where in your life you're having problems based on interacting with a system, and how maybe doing so more lovingly can help. I mean, I've certainly learned that in my business, that the more loving I am to my customers, the better it works, the more smoothly it goes, the longer they keep working with me, and there's less friction there is all around. So offer love into systems, yes. Also be selective about what fits where you fit and what fits you. The third main area where challenges arise, I'm calling outreach. And I think this is a typical problem. We're always trying to get more followers on Instagram. We're trying to get, known. A big area of life that is a challenge for us is how do we become known? How do we get our value out there to people? And that's the problem I solve with this agency that is called InfoBeing Solutions, LLC. And, we do outreach campaigns cost effectively to get people's message out. If there's a high value message, a high value solution, and a system that's behind that to generate revenue and so forth, then we can get the message out to the right people. It just takes a lot of hard work to do that. It's not magic how it happens. I mean, there's all kinds of gurus out there telling you how to get 10,000 followers a month on Instagram. But nobody's going to promise that. No one's going to charge you a reasonable price to do that. They put it on you and say it's your fault when it fails. There's a lot of gurus that are telling you what you have to do, and that if it doesn't work, it's your fault. But, I think it's more interesting to actually do the work for people. And that's what I decided to do, is just and I'm going a little bit off course here with this, but just, the outreach piece is a big part of life. And if you're not getting yourself out there, that might be an area where you need to learn how to do that. Self-promotion in a loving way that doesn't undermine your cause, that isn't ego-based, that's adding value to other people. And it's a tricky area to get right. And if you do, and if you have a system in place to profit from that also, that can be an area where there could be a challenge or problem in your life. And the fourth area where challenges arise in life, or problems, or where there are goals to improve, I'm calling the inner self. This is about how do you feel? Are you fulfilled? Do you love yourself? Do you have peace? Do you have perfect health? Are you enjoying life? And I'm saying all this in a positive way. It's funny, I'm talking about those four areas as though that's where the challenges arise, but then the way I'm defining it is a very positive thing. Hey, you got a spouse, you have children, that's wonderful. You're part of some system or taking part in it, great. You're trying to get your message out to people, that's wonderful, and you're finding love and peace. I'm not defining this in terms of the challenge or the problem, because that's not really interesting. We shouldn't have any problems in any of these four areas. I mean, of course, you're going to be stronger in some than others, but it shouldn't really feel like there's a problem anywhere here. And if there is, that means that somewhere you've gone off course, there's some kind of illness involved, some kind of toxicity involved, and something blocking the natural balance of things, which is unconditional love and total honesty. You should be able to be loving unconditionally, and to be basically open and honest and accepting when it comes to all these areas of life. You should be able to be yourself. And people might argue about the perfect health, that yes, it is inner self. Yes, perfect health does come from inner peace. It does come from spiritual awakening. It does come from, letting go of negativity. It comes from forgiving yourself, loving yourself and others, and everyone. And if you can do that, I guarantee your health is going to improve. Illness is totally unnecessary. Of course, there are cases, there are birth defects, there are some illnesses, that you can argue, asthma and things like this. I get it. But when most people complain about their health, there are other problems. You don't find that the person complaining about their health is perfectly aligned with self-love, inner peace, fulfillment, enjoyment. Typically, there's a lot of negative thought patterns and a lot of fear in that person, right? So by undoing the fear and shifting to an attitude of unconditional love and openness, the health improves and everything else improves. So the natural state of being for any person is that all four of these areas are healthy. There isn't any dysfunction anywhere here. I look at my life and I'm thinking, well, I can probably improve a little bit in the systems. I can do even more projects for more people. I can do more outreach. And that's kind of what, when I do an analysis of myself, that's what I came up with. And actually, one of the things I did as I did this is I decided to do a lot more. I don't want to call it life coaching because I hate that word. It's not coaching. It's actually life assisting, but that sounds like you're talking about life support, so I don't want to use that either. But basically working with other people to solve their problems and overcome their challenges through these teachings and by me doing it. If someone needs more outreach, I'll do the outreach. If someone has an idea and wants to do a system, well, let's be business partners and do it together, or pay me for the outcome. But I only want to get paid for the outcome and whatever I do, because I'm not interested in being a guru that takes people's money just for big promises. I want to only take the value I create should be rewarded. There should be abundance into my life because of value I create. But I want to be sure that I actually am creating that value, not just to promise big things and do that to people. So that's what I'm doing this year. As of now, I'm making a big shift into actually reaching out to a lot of people with this message and fixing these problems, because it's easy. It's actually so easy if anyone actually is willing to change anything, right? I mean, this is the natural state of being. There's no reason you shouldn't have perfect health in all four of these areas of life. It may take some time. It may take, there's always, when you're correcting error, things change. Life, relationships change that you have if you change. People change their opinion about you if you change yourself. And of course, healing of any kind takes a little bit of time, but it's kind of also instant. Time doesn't really matter. If it takes a little bit of time, well, it's just what happens, but you've already been healed. It's just that the outer world tends to need some time to catch up to where you are. So that's interesting. I thought I'd share this on the podcast here because you might be looking at your life a little bit, start of the new year, and trying to think, well, where can I make some, where are my real challenges? What's bothering me? I guarantee you, without a doubt, that unconditional love and total honesty will fix it if you'll go there. And you can follow my posts every day. You can read my books, either Beloved or The Switch. You can read a lot of other great books that I recommend in my posts. Or if you really want to go all the way, reach out to me. Let's work together. I want to get to know you, and I want to hear what you want to accomplish. And if I can help, we'll come up with a plan. And you won't pay me anything until I deliver for you, until we deliver the result that we want. So I thought that might be interesting to share. Anyway, I'll be doing a lot more podcasts, as I said, and look forward to your feedback either at abscondo.com, leave a comment, or write me, mark.manny@abscondo.com. Find me on Instagram, Abscondo, Facebook, wherever. I definitely will. I'm open to you, and I want to connect, so don't be shy. I'll leave you with a song. This song is called Strangled into Gray, a song I wrote about 11, 12, 13 years ago now, my goodness, but I still like it. Enjoy.
Get so set on such a narrow line.
You do what the teachers say. Well, they've gone away. And all they've left you with is one big lie, intended to keep us sane until we wake. So don't go chasing shots of whiskey every day, with all you wanted and love strangled into gray. Do you fight what's real? Do you want to fucking feel, but you can't? You bear such weight, the so-called healthy life. You do what the doctors say, one dose each day. When so much pain flows from our so-called life, well, maybe it's time to change a choice that you could make. You can't go bigger, stronger, faster every day, with all you wanted and love strangled into gray. Do you fight what's real? Do you want to fucking feel, but you can't? And on and on and on. You do what the teachers say. You're strangled into gray. And on and on and on. You do what the doctors say. You're strangled into gray. Well, come on. Come on. Come on. You do what the teachers who don't want to teach us, and do what the doctors who don't want to treat us, and do what the preachers say.